Today I'm going to show you how to change the spark plugs on a 2005 Ford Escape. Now this one has the V6 motor, it's a 3-liter, and you'll notice that the front plugs are right here, and they're pretty easy to get to. However, you'll notice there's a giant intake manifold in the way of the rear. So we're going to have to remove this intake manifold, and there's a few different ways to do this. I'm going to show you the way I found to be easiest. But we'll get into that. Let's get started. The first step is to remove this cover right here. I've already loosened up the bolt here and the bolt here, and we're going to set that aside. Also, I removed your hose for the intake. Now, the way you remove this is just unscrew this and unscrew this, but don't unscrew them all the way. You can push it in and then it comes out. There's this hose is attached on the top. Now, it's on this other side right here. You just basically pull this in, and that will loosen it, and you pull it straight up. All right, now the next step is to remove the cruise control servo cable. Now, this one, you need to open your throttle body. Actually, pull it off already, but you need to open this, open your throttle body up, and then push this downward. And as you can see with the connector, it only goes out one way. Don't try to pry this off or it will break the plastic. And the next step is to, there's a couple different ways I've seen this to be done. Now, I know someone recommended to remove the, there's this 1 and I think it's 1 1/8 inch-ish right here. Now, I couldn't get that off easily, and I don't have any penetrating oil right now to throw in there. So what I'm going to do instead is remove these bolts right here. Now these are 10mm bolts, as you can see there. Now I'm going to remove those now. I've already loosened them, but they came off pretty easy. Now, you may need a new EGR Valve gasket, but we'll see. This one looks to be intact. So, also, we need to remove an 8mm nut back here that holds on this bracket. Now, there's this wiring bracket right here. This comes off with an 8mm nut, I believe, right here. And you pull this off, set it aside, and I believe there are two 10mm nuts right here that we need to pull out. All right, so next step is to remove some of the wiring harnesses from your throttle body here. If you just push in, on that end and pull them out. There's a couple you want to remove. There's one up here, one here obviously. And I would just set those out of the way. You'll notice on our EGR over here, this component, I have not disconnected any of the vacuum hoses. On here, I've just unbolted these two bolts, and there's enough movement where we should be able to pull the intake manifold out without actually taking this apart. We'll see here in a moment. But yeah, for right now, we just need to make sure we have all the electrical harnesses unplugged on your throttle body. I believe there are two. Now, there's a bracket down here holding the vacuum hose underneath. You're going to need to pull this out. It's just pull it straight out. Now, I also need to remove this cable right here from this bracket. So, easiest way on that is to pinch this in, and it should go through there like that. Now, once you have this, we need to bungee cord it or attach it. I'll figure it away here. Kind of get that out of the way. That's all that we're looking to do here. So we'll need to remove this bracket from the top here and this bracket right here. And also, while we're over here, we need to unclip these electrical. You don't actually want to unclip the cables, but you just pull them away from the throttle body this way. Now there's also some hoses back here that you need to unplug. This one right here you can use pliers or whatever to push it in, pull it that way. This one right here just pulls straight off. This one is the Ford style. You just push in on that little green part and get that out of your way. So we've removed our bracket here and over here, and we've removed the bolts holding those. Now you need to remove this cable from your throttle body. You basically just open it up, full open position, and work it out. And then you want to take it and get it out of the way.
Our next step is to remove some vacuum hoses and also some coolant hoses on the bottom of the throttle body. Now these can be removed by a pair of pliers, and also this hose over here is I believe a vacuum hose that you just pull straight away to your right.
Alright, next step is once you have everything unplugged basically from the upper intake manifold, you need to remove 8 bolts on here. I'd recommend getting each of them loose first and then going around and removing all of them.
Now once you have those 8 bolts removed, you need to make sure you have your vacuum lines out of the way, and then just pull that intake manifold straight up. While you're pulling that up, you need to kind of push the EGR valve out of the way to have the clearance necessary, and it should come out fairly easily. As you can see here, I'm getting the vacuum hose out of the way. Now my microphone did die on the camera, so I'm having to record this after the fact. And as you can see here, we have the intake gaskets, which we are going to replace in a few minutes. And as you can see here, we have our 3 spark plugs and coils in the back. Now I'm going to show you how to remove the electrical connectors from the coil packs. Pretty straightforward. You basically just click the back portion right there and hold it down, and it slides right off. Once those are released, you can take a socket wrench and remove each of those and then pull them straight up. As you can see here, I have the electrical connectors removed and the bolt removed, and just they pull straight out. I would recommend cleaning the coil pack rubber grommet there gasket just to be on the safe side. Now as far as the spark plugs, I recommend the NGK Iridium plugs. They're about $6-7, and also make sure you have them gapped at about 0.57 or 0.057, I believe. They're usually pre-gapped, but it's a good idea to check them. I also recommend some anti-seize to throw on the plugs. Not a lot, just a little bit. Now as far as the intake gaskets go, I would recommend replacing those while you're in there. They're fairly inexpensive, and they just pull right out with a small screwdriver or a pick, and they just pop right in there, and it's the same way all the way around. Now as far as other considerations, make sure you have the intake ports plugged with paper towel or something similar, so no dirt gets in there. But other than that, this job is pretty straightforward if you follow the directions. Just make sure you put everything back together the way it came out.